By Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as it is a great Tuesday. And fellas, we had a good time at the Leroy last night. Hopefully everybody's recovered and ready to get after it on another great day talking about Razorback football and other sports too.
It is a great day to talk Razorback football. I'm over it though. I'm done. I'm over it. Bring on the Blazers. I'm ready for another game, man.
Yeah, no, Tuesday, I've always said I think Tuesday is low-key the worst day of the week. Like, I know Monday always gets a bad rap, but Monday's not that bad. You have Monday Night Football. You have Monday nights with us at the Leroy. Tuesday's the worst day of the week because that's when, like, the week seems so long. Where I'm like, man, we still got 5 more days before they play this game. Like, I don't know what we're going to do, but yeah, I'm ready to get this over with, and I think a lot of Hog fans are in the same mind frame.
Yeah, no, we'll get to hear from some of the players tonight to be determined, and as far as a press conference goes. So we'll see if anything's said from that. But we talked a lot about what Sam Pittman had to say yesterday, and you mentioned them playing UAB, which, fun fact for those of you who may not know, they are coached by Trent Dilfer, who formerly is a Super Bowl winning quarterback with the Baltimore Ravens back in 2000. He was also an analyst on ESPN for a long time. He's did Elite 11. He's just been involved with football for a very, very long time. And he's the head coach over there at UAB. UAB is not a good team, just going to be honest. But I wanted to bring up the comments that he made. Because, again, we talked about Sam Pittman, but getting into the comments that the opposing coach makes, especially about Trent Dilfer, there's 2 things in this clip that I think we're really going to dive into, and we'll have to go in order of it. But both really fascinating when he's talking about quarterback Taylen Green for Arkansas and also Bobby Petrino. Take a listen.
He's got everything. You know what I mean? I didn't watch a lot of Sunday football, but I know the guy's playing on Sunday, and he looks like one of them, right? He can throw it with the best of them. He can read defenses. He's athletic. He's got physical confidence because of his skill set. He's poised. Like he's got everything. So tremendous challenge. I mean, we're going to play an SEC team that's loaded with one of the greatest offensive minds that's ever coached football at any level, with a very talented quarterback. So, you know, you put all that together and you know, the challenge is immense, and the quarterback makes it that much more immense.
Okay, so we'll talk about the Petrino angle in a second, but let's start with the Taylen Green comment, because that's a very strong comment. It's not just simply, hey, Taylen Green's a good quarterback, solid guy. I mean, Trent Dilfer, who has coached in the NFL, or at least played in the NFL, talked about the NFL, analyzed quarterbacks. He's out here saying Taylen Green is 100% for sure an NFL caliber quarterback. We buy in that.
That's pretty cool, man, because I think any opposing coach is always going to speak highly of the other team's quarterback or players or whatever. That's just kind of what you do. But it hits a little bit different when it's a guy like Trent Dilfer for all the reasons that you said about his background and resume, and he evaluated him at the Elite 11 and all that. That's pretty cool. And am I buying it? Yeah, a hell of a lot more than I was maybe a month ago. I think. And the thing with Taylen Green, though, is he's always had all the tools, all the physical tools. You look at him, he absolutely looks the part. He's athletic, big arm, all those things are there. He's just got to sharpen it and refine it. Well, insert Bobby Petrino, which I think is what he's getting at. He's in the right place to do the things he needs to do to play on Sundays. And so far, he's looked pretty darn good.
Yeah, nobody was more upset than I was when Trent Dilfer got the UAB job, because even when he was coaching high school football, he used to do a weekly podcast with Ryan Russillo, and I loved listening to Trent Dilfer just talk football, hear his takes on quarterbacks and stuff like that. And John, I'm glad you mentioned his credentials, because this is not just some random coach who's like, oh yeah, you know, like this is a guy who, like you said, has been around all of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I'm not saying he's always has 100% hit rate on his takes on quarterbacks, but I'm definitely going to respect his opinion a lot more than I am a lot of other, you know, random coaches in college football, or even, you know, even like someone like Mike Gundy, who's clearly a great offensive mind, but it's not like he's put a bunch of quarterbacks in the NFL necessarily, and he's you know, coaching up those guys close, like Elite 11. He's been around all of the top guys you can imagine in the NFL. And so Trent Dilfer, you got to respect that opinion. I also think people lose sight of, they try to overcomplicate drafts in any sport where they're like, oh, to get drafted, you gotta do this, you gotta have this. And it's like the draft is and always will be a tools-based game. It is all about physical tools and just what are you capable of doing? And those guys are always going to win out over the guy like Stetson Bennett, who, great college career, better college quarterback than Taylen Green will ever be. But he is not the same as an NFL draft. I mean, and Stetson Bennett's on an NFL roster. You look at the NFL and you look at some of the guys that have been drafted over the last decade, the Anthony Richardsons, the Trey Lances, the Justin Fields, the whoever. A lot of these guys have a lot of the same deficiencies that we all complain about with Taylen Green, where you're like, oh, he just misses wide open throws here and there, but he's super athletic, super talented. Like, these are the kind of guys that get drafted. I'm not saying Taylen Green's going to be a top 5 pick, but yeah, I definitely buy that this guy could be a guy who's on NFL draft radar, so much so that like you see NFL draft guys being like, yo, I'm interested in this Arkansas quarterback. And so Taylen's definitely done a lot for himself in these last 2 weeks. And I think people are starting to see what Bobby Petrino saw. I mean, he handpicked this guy. He saw some of those traits and was like, hey, I think I can work with that. I definitely would not be surprised if NFL teams, maybe not this year, but even next year, will start to look at Taylen Green and say, I think I can work with that.
Yeah, no pro team, and you can even use this in a lot of other sports, but pro teams, GMs, head coaches, whatever you want to say, they love projects, man. They love projects, and they love to see a guy who has all the tools and be like, okay, well, hey, just when I get a hold of them, then I'm going to do this and mold this, and then boom, they're going to become a Hall of Fame quarterback because they have all the attributes and all the tools, which in a lot of cases it works, and in some cases it doesn't. But when we're talking about pros and cons of Taylen Green as a quarterback, I feel like we know the pros, his athleticism, as you mentioned, and his speed and his height. He does have arm strength. It seems that, at least for all intents and purposes, he's got some leadership qualities, which are not something you can just coach. He takes responsibility on things. But for him, is it simply the accuracy? Is that just the only thing about Taylen Green that really makes us go, still not sure about that? Or are there other things besides the accuracy?
I mean, I think that's a big part of it for sure. I mean, he's, I would say, arguably playing some of the best football of his career, and he's still through 58% completions in the last game. So that's definitely part of it. I think there's some decision-making things there that he needs to work on. Some game management type stuff that he needs to work on. But then, to go back to the accuracy, a lot of it, I think, is mechanics. And that's something they worked with him a lot in the spring and the offseason since he's been at Arkansas. We've heard Petrino speak to, him going to that over-the-top throwing motion to really get the most out of that 6'6" frame. And you can tell on some of the throws that he misses where he's maybe just kind of getting back into some old bad habits, and he's dropping down a little bit. Sometimes he's throwing off that back foot when he doesn't need to be. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nitpicky things here and there. But to your point, I think the accuracy is probably a byproduct of some of those other things mechanically he's got to sharpen up.
Yeah, I think accuracy is always going to be kind of the big number one question mark you think of, but it's not just that simple. There's a lot more nuance to this thing. Josh Allen is a guy who, back when he was at Wyoming, if you can remember back in those days, and he was going 5-7 at Wyoming, he was completing 55% of his passes. And I remember I was a guy who I was like, dude, there's no way this guy's going to be able to really function in the NFL because he's just not accurate consistently enough. And historically, we know that doesn't really work and translate. But he went to a place that found out exactly how to use his skill sets. It's really about the situation you're in. And I think with Taylen, it's more about just the understanding of his skill set, understanding what throws he can make, and the decision-making, like you mentioned, Curtis, of kind of knowing when to go somewhere with the ball, how to go about that. I think he'll continue to get better at those areas, even if his accuracy is still going to be hit or miss time and time again. I still think there's plenty of quarterbacks that are playing on Sundays every day. All these guys that, we all nitpick that are making a lot of those same mistakes. I said Anthony Richardson's name. I think he was like 10 for 21 the other day in the NFL, but he had 2 long, huge throws, and he's going to be a franchise quarterback for 10 years, even though everyone's like, oh, this guy sucked at Florida. There's no way he's going to be in the NFL. Like, I don't know. He's going to make a lot of money playing quarterback in the NFL. And so I really think Taylen will be one of those guys, like anyone, who's probably dependent on the situation he goes to. If he goes to the right coach who believes in his skill set and knows how to utilize it. But I think that's what's so cool about his situation with Petrino is he's getting a chance in real time to prove that he can make some of those adjustments. He's proving that he can play at a high level. We'll see if he carries it into SEC play. But I think this year is going to be a big year to kind of show NFL scouts that, hey, I know the Boise State career was what it was, but you get me in the right situation with the right coach, with the right pieces around me, I can really flourish. And so I think he's going to continue to help himself a lot this year.
Well, I know he's only going to be at Arkansas for a year. And when I heard this, of course, we're kind of discussing all the things we've talked about, but also just looking at it to where if Trent Dilfer is right and Taylen Green is an NFL quarterback, you're talking about a school in Arkansas that really has not been known for producing NFL caliber quarterbacks. In fact, I looked at just the quarterbacks that have been drafted into the NFL from Arkansas. I mean, some of them you have to go back to the 50s and 60s, the days of Scott Bull. But you got like Joe Ferguson, you got a Tavarius Jackson, which of course he didn't really play at Arkansas, but he did. I guess he was on the team at Arkansas before he transferred. You have Ryan Mallett, Tyler Wilson, and Brandon Allen. Those are really the only quarterbacks even close around that actually got drafted into the NFL and has actually done anything in the NFL at all. And most of those guys, other than maybe Ryan Mallett, haven't really started. I think Brandon Allen started a little bit here. But my point is that if Taylen Green's that, you're talking about a historical thing to where he could be one of the very, very, very few quarterbacks from Arkansas that actually plays in the NFL. And how crazy would that be? The one-year guy under Sam Pittman ends up being a guy that surpasses a lot of the other quarterback greats as far as their pro careers in the NFL.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that standpoint of it. And that's true. It is kind of crazy to think back to the history of those guys who have made it to the NFL. And yeah, if Taylen Green wound up being the dude who emerged and became a franchise quarterback for somebody, that would be that would not be on my bingo sheet, I guess, at the beginning of his tenure. But hey, sign me up for it. He has been, and I will, because I was very skeptical, and in some ways I wouldn't say skeptical on whether or not he's going to be good, but I'm still waiting for him to face a decent defense and a decent secondary. Some stuff he needs to clean up, but he's been better than advertised, at least on my end, as a thrower. And then we just never saw that dynamic with his legs because, they don't hit in practice, whatever, in the spring game. He is so athletic and so fast. That's really going to play. It's played so far. It's going to play in the SEC and it'll play in the NFL. He's that kind of athlete. It's elite level stuff, man. Really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, but I mean, you just look at some of the quarterbacks that have been drafted lately. They fit kind of that same profile where back in the day, if this were 15 years ago, a guy like Taylen Green, they would have been like, hell no. This guy, you can't win with this guy. You got to be a 6'5", 240, stand in the pocket and do all, you know what I mean? It was a different game. It's a different sport where you're seeing some of these college concepts and the way that colleges use quarterbacks starting to trickle upwards towards the NFL. And Curtis, do you remember back in the day when Moses Moody was getting drafted in the lottery and you had all these big brain Hog fans who were like, I don't see it. Nah, he's got to work on his ball handling. He's got to work on his ball handling, and he's going to have to be more of a dog mentality like Kobe. Like they were saying all that dumb shit. And it's like, no, dude, like if you have the tools that we can clearly identify, you can shoot threes, you can play defense, you can be a good wing guy. Like it's all about having those clear and identifiable tools. Whereas like the well-rounded guys who maybe have every tool, but maybe not really strong in one specific area, those are the guys that get lost in the shuffle. It's the guys who have clear and identifiable skill sets who end up rising to the top in pro sports. And Taylen Green has a clear and identifiable skill set, similar to Moses Moody, who I think is going to have a 10-year NBA career.
There were legit people that's I'm so glad you mentioned that. And there were legit people last year who were like, nah, I'm hearing Anthony Black's coming back. Like he knows he's got to come back and improve as a 3-point shooter if he wants to make it in the league. It's like, this dude was never coming back. What are we doing right now? You're 100% right though. And this is completely off topic, but I want to get it off of my brain before I lose it. I sort of on topic because we're talking about quarterbacks, but I found it interesting that last week in week 1, 2 of the worst graded quarterbacks at PFF, the worst graded in the country was Connor Wegman. And then KJ Jefferson was down there as well. And then you turn around this week and Wegman was the highest graded Power 5 quarterback in the country. And KJ Jefferson was 4th at PFF. It's a roller coaster ride, man. But I just said that because I was looking to see if Taylen Green was on that list of the top 10 and he was not last week.
Well, we know what they say. The greatest improvement, is from week 1 to week 2.
That's right. I legit saw somebody I can't remember if it was in the comments here, if I saw it on Twitter or whatever, and someone said the greatest improvement is from week 2 to week 3, and they were being dead serious about it. I was like, we can't keep doing this every week.
No.
I'm going to do that after Arkansas struggles against UAB. I'm going to be like, week 3 to week 4, that's kind of when you start finding that groove as a team.
That's what they're saying.
Golly, I hate that so much. But I will say, though, that just through 2 games, I know it's just 2 games, but it was interesting to me because 645 yards is what Taylen Green has passing wise, which is second in the SEC right now behind Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. But just kind of comparing it to Taylen Green's previous seasons when he was at Boise State, it's just funny to me because I hate to be the on pace guy, but he is truly like on pace to shatter that record. In fact, his previous 2 years combined, he's on pace to surpass both of that amount of yardage in that, because 2,000 yards was the most he ever had in 2022, and then he had 1,750 last year. So yeah, if he just throws for 400 yards a game, he'll be in good shape.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
He'll make a lot of money then. Yeah,
yeah. But I also thought it was interesting because the touchdown interception rate's about on par as of right now. But the sacks, he only took 6 sacks at Boise State last year, which I thought was interesting. He's already taken 3 sacks this year. And in the previous year, he took 8 sacks. So, take that for what it's worth. But he's being on pace for that.
And they've got to shore some things up, obviously, on the offensive line. I think we knew that it was going to be a work in progress for these guys to put all together. I still think this offensive line is going to be better than last year's, obviously. I like the talent. I like the togetherness, cohesiveness, whatever. They need Kudus or somebody healthy so they can rotate a little bit more. But I just don't want them to run into a situation where they're really struggling in pass pro, especially once they get into SEC play, because you don't want a guy like Taylen Green to start hearing footsteps and just abandoning ship too early and running and scrambling around too much. Because one, that's just not good for your offense in general if you're second guessing and hearing footsteps all the time. And 2, I don't want him to get hurt, man. So you want him to stay strong and poised and step up into the pocket and not abandon ship too early. And if he keeps getting his head taken off, then I worry about that.
I definitely think there's going to be an adjustment period, because we were surprised by Taylen Green, just how dynamic he was in the running game, even though, he had numbers at Boise State and all that, but we weren't really able to see that this offseason. So you'd imagine there's going to be SEC teams that are going to now have a little bit of a game plan for it, whereas Oklahoma State, I think, probably was caught off guard a little bit, and UAPB certainly was. And so I do think there's going to be an adjustment period. Maybe teams start to force them into that pocket more. Will that offensive line be able to hold up in those circumstances? We'll see. But I think it's going to be a nice little challenge for Taylen Green. And honestly, if you're playing in the SEC, what better way to show that you can play in the NFL if you can get it done against, the top defenses you're going to face, like a Texas defense? They're going to have a ton of talent. Auburn should have a good defense. A&M's always loaded on defense. You're going to face a lot of NFL caliber defensive ends, defensive tackles, linebackers, whatever. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see just the growth of him and just see how this offense forms. But look, we're not saying they're going to have 650 yards of offense every week. Certainly not. But I do really believe that there's going to be a lot of teams that struggle to slow Arkansas down offensively.
Yeah, because if they get 650 yards of offense per game, they should theoretically win a lot more games than what we saw. Hopefully that is the case. But who knows? Against UAB, they may go for 650. It could be one of those deals in one of those cases too. I'm going to go ahead and replay the clip because it's just to give everybody context who may be just joining us and talking about Trent Dilfer. And he kind of used 2 really interesting comments in one answer. Of course, we've been talking about the Taylen Green element. The other one that to get into is about Bobby Petrino. So we'll just replay the clip so that way everyone has context on what we're referring to.
He's got everything. I didn't watch a lot of Sunday football, but I know the guy's playing on Sunday. And he looks like one of them, right? He can throw it with the best of them. He can read defenses. He's athletic. He's got physical confidence because of his skill set. He's poised. Like he's got everything. So tremendous challenge. We're going to play an SEC team that's loaded with one of the greatest offensive minds that's ever coached football at any level. With a very talented quarterback. So, you put all that together and the challenge is immense and the quarterback makes it that much more immense.
Okay. So focusing on the Bobby Petrino comment, We kind of made the reference of it being Mount Rushmore. He didn't say that, but the greatest mind, offensive mind in college football is also a very bold statement from someone like Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, it's a bold statement. All right. And I we can talk about whether or not we think he's, Bobby Petrino's on that list of like the top 4. I definitely think that, just in a nutshell, is Bobby Petrino one of the greatest offensive minds in college football over the course of his career? I think, yeah, he is. And, Mount Rushmore is a different thing because that's 4. And so there's a lot of really good offensive minds in college football now. And over the last 20 years, RIP Mike Leach, I feel like he's my offensive mind GOAT if I'm doing the rankings. But I think Bobby Petrino's resume speaks for itself a little bit. And it's not a flawless resume. It's not like every year he has an elite offense, but he's kind of shown throughout his career, if you get him somewhat of the right pieces, he can move the ball against literally anyone, ACC, SEC, Big 12, whatever. He's had enough of a well-rounded resume with different styles of quarterbacks and doing it in different ways. It's not like he's at Georgia where he's just bringing in elite 5-star receivers every year and winning with them. He's done it at different levels, different classifications, different conferences. And so I think it's hard to deny that he's one of the best offensive minds of his era. Where he ranks on that, I don't know, but I mean, he's definitely up near the top.
Well, he's respected and thought of enough from that regard to just completely overshadow the head coach of the program. Anytime there's any conversation about Arkansas football, whether it's with other media or opposing coaches or whatever, unless someone's very directly asked about Sam Pittman, they don't really have much to say about it. But people are jumping at the opportunity to say, yeah, but Bobby P, though, people understand what's going on here. And that's not even a knock on Sam Pittman so much as it's just a respect thing for Petrino and his track record and what he's been able to do. And I mean, I know Dilfer expands on all this with his comments, and it's pretty in depth and it's pretty fascinating. I'll say that.
Well, and to me, saying something like that, there's going to be a lot of coaches or people that may bring up other coaches. They may be like, hey, Smitty Jenkins from the 30s, you started the wing T. He was the greatest offensive mind. And it's like, okay, but to me, it's about the longevity that you have as that offensive mind and not just living in the moment. There was a time where the triple option was the thing, but other than a few teams here and there, it hasn't really evolved. And maybe the minds that were really experts at the triple option didn't evolve. But somebody like a Bobby Petrino, we're talking about 20 years essentially in major college football, which we can all agree has changed and it's evolved, and offense and defense, everything has changed. And yet here he is still having success. He, for a while there, it was always about the Brian Brahms and the Ryan Mallett type of quarterbacks. And like, okay, well, maybe that's all he got, until boom, he gets a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback and wins the Heisman. So it's his ability to be flexible and to understand just how to make it work, where he just takes the pieces and then makes it work. And to do it for that long period of time, you got to give a lot of credit to Petrino and what he's been able to do, because that to me is impressive. It's not just about, oh, well, he was at Alabama and had 5 stars all around. And of course, yeah, anybody with that offense would be good. It's like, no, he's gone in different places with different personnel, with different quarterbacks in different eras and different conferences. And everywhere he's been, he's had the same level of success. So that's, to me, I'm not saying he's like the greatest of all time, but that's probably why somebody like Trent Dilfer feels like he's definitely up there as far as one of the greats.
Yeah, you're right. And that's my bad. I thought we had the other parts of his comments there. But he went on to kind of explain exactly what you were just talking about. So I'm glad you just went on the dialogue that you did there. But he was kind of asked like to describe Bobby Petrino, like what makes him so good at what he does and everything. And he just kept saying like he's a puppet master. And what he meant by that is like he knows how to go out and identify exactly what he needs to fit what he's trying to do. And then it's all about getting everybody on the string to create the right type of harmony, And so he was talking about how it does not matter what coverage that you have as a defensive coordinator with your team, because he's got the plays to beat it. And if you make an adjustment, he's got the plays to beat that. And he's just so sharp with his mind and so quick on making adjustments and doing things. And then it's also just so hard to cover anyway, because he is so specific and demanding about everything, whether it's precise and crisp routes or timing or whatever, footwork, body positioning, all those things. He's got so much attention to detail. And it's something that really stood out to a guy like Trent Dilfer. And again, This isn't just some, mid-major football coach who's, in awe of a really good offensive coordinator. This is a dude who's a quarterback in the NFL and who has talked about it for a living, done it for a living at a high level, and been around a lot of really, really good coaches. He's got a lot of good praise for Bobby Petrino. So I think it's a good thing. He went on to call him Mike Martz-esque, which if you don't know who that is, you want to talk about one of the greatest offensive minds in football. Well, there you go. So yeah, man, he just offered up a ton of high praise for him. I thought it was really cool. Oh,
yeah, I mean, football is all about matchups. And I feel like that's kind of what sets Bobby Petrino apart is it's not even more about what he and his offense are doing, or it's not like, oh, hey, we're playing Bobby Petrino. We know we got to worry about this. It's, hey, we better not have a defensive end that sucks because he's going to run right at him. We better not have a nickel that can't guard their slot guy because he's going to go right at him. And so it's like he takes whatever your strengths and your weaknesses are and kind of flips them on you and puts it. I think what did Trent Dilfer said something crazy. He was like, he makes you, it's like eating soup left-handed or something like that.
Yes,
he
that's
makes
right.
You play like you're eating soup left-handed. And I think that's kind of what other coaches feel when they're preparing for Bobby Petrino is you got to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row because if you've got weaknesses, he's going to expose them. And I feel like Gundy spoke about this a little bit in his Monday presser that, hey, sometimes coaches can expose, when you get the scheme and the players and you have a mismatch on either side, you're going to get exposed. And he felt like Oklahoma State got exposed on Saturday. And I feel like Bobby Petrino, that's kind of what other coaches see when they see Bobby Petrino is they see that's a guy that can expose my weaknesses. And that's not what you want to see as a coach.
No, and that's where it's like I wish that I know because Bobby Petrino's done some things like he did a coach's show way back when and he's talked about some stuff and you can maybe get some inside access. But I think that's what's kind of the fascinating thing is he's just not a personality. He's not a guy that's just gonna tell you all about, hey, let me bring you into my office and let me break down why the offense is working or whatever. There's just a lot of mystery to it where you almost have to give it up to be like there's something going on in his mind and how he sees things that you just can't explain. Like to like somebody like me or us, if Coach Petrino came on here and they're like, Coach, explain why your offense is so successful. I feel like even if he did, I still wouldn't understand it because it takes a very unique mind to look at the game of football and look at opposing defenses, no matter who they have or what they're doing, and make it work. Like it's just sometimes, you can't explain it. And that's how I feel about Petrino, where I don't know if anybody will ever know just, they have ideas, they have things, but as far as like, hey, why do you run this slant right here and go into this defense? There just seems to be a whole lot of moving parts in that mind of his that makes it work. That's all I got for it.
I do want to go on the record and say that I do eat my soup left-handed and I do it just fine. But maybe that's just part of a bigger problem that I have that I got to figure some things out. But that was a hell of an analogy, man. I forgot that he said that. I'm glad you brought it up because when he did, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Left-handed soup.
Yeah. I want the records to show. I thought about it long and hard for a good 10 minutes before we came on the show. I wanted to give y'all my Mount Rushmore of Arkansas or not Arkansas offensive football minds. I can't speak for pre-1997. I was not alive pre-1997. So if anybody wants to say, hey, man, you left off Tom Osborne or Barry Switzer, I'll take your word for it. They're probably on this list. Y'all ready for this?
Yep.
Mike Leach, the GOAT. Offense, just pure offense. That dude, he changed football. Yep. I'm going Lane Kiffin. I mean, his resume dating back to like the early 2000s, he was a part of those USC teams. Tremendous offense. Love Lane Kiffin's offense. I mean, everybody's going to not like that in the chat, but it's undeniable. I got Lincoln Riley. His resume is starting to come together. I mean, he's got like 5 different Heisman winning quarterbacks at 2 different schools now. He's starting to put together a pretty wild resume. And the fourth one, people definitely are not going to agree with this one. Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly is a crazy elite offensive mind in college football. So much so that I think he's a big reason why the NFL is starting to adapt some stuff from college and not vice versa. Where normally you see it where people are pulling from the pro. He got hired and ended up not really doing great in the NFL, but the NFL started to adapt some of those concepts from those Oregon teams. I feel like Chip Kelly doesn't get his proper due as a offensive mind in college football. And he's got Ohio State. They're probably going to win the national title with him as their OC this year.
Yeah, Chip Kelly, that's a good pull. I didn't think about that one. Don't necessarily appreciate you shortchanging Dow Loggins.
Yeah.
But
Chad
Chad Morris,
God's boy.
he was innovative. But in all seriousness, I was trying to think who else I might have on that list, or at least close to that list, or maybe someone who's going to get there eventually. Josh Heupel was a name that came to my mind pretty quick. He's done a hell of a job. And I think the further removed he gets from like his previous stops, you realize that a lot of success was because of him. I know it's something that you mentioned yesterday, and it's just true. So he's a good one too.
Yeah, there was a few that I thought that I wouldn't put them on there, but just ones that like potentially were on the right trajectory. Like I think back to like Rich Rodriguez, because I remember at the time, like, it was such a mind-blowing type of offense that there's like, that won't work in the SEC, but then it was just so much fun. And it kind of, with the no huddle and then also running the 3-3-5 defense, which was really unique at the time. I know there's more head coach than defense, but still like he was one of those. And just, guys that you felt like, man, they're really on the up and up and game changing the entire offensive strategy. He was one that always came to mind. Because some people will probably be like, well, Gus Malzahn and the hurry up spread.
Gus is low key in the combo. Like, let's just keep it real. Man. He's in the combo.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he went to a national championship with Nick Marshall as his quarterback. I mean, come on.
With a straight up defensive back at quarterback. You don't see that much. No. Straight up defensive back in the NFL at quarterback.
Yeah, the two players for Auburn to play in a national championship over the past like 50 years is Cam Newton and Nick Marshall. So great QBs there for Auburn. But here's the thing is like, that's why people have been and still continue to be excited about Bobby Petrino being the OC. That's why people are buying those BMFP shirts that we're selling here at Inside Arkansas. Still have some few left if y'all want them, but that's it's a respect thing. And so again, I don't know if we're going to see 650 offensive yards, but I think we can all agree and expect that Arkansas against UAB, they're going to put up some numbers offensively, right?
I think it'll be close to 650, frankly.
Really?
This week, I should say.
Yeah, and it's big picture. Like it's a program issue with what happened to Arkansas last weekend with that 1-score loss, and it sucks, and you're irritated, and it's going to take more than a win over freaking UAB for people to start feeling a little bit better about where this is headed. But man, it could be worse. Like you wouldn't want to be Auburn right now. You guys seeing the stuff about people sending Peyton Thorne Venmo requests to get their money back?
I love that he said that publicly. Like, honestly, you would never get that information out of me if I threw 4 picks and people were doing that. I appreciated that he like kind of had a laugh about it, where he's like, "Man, people Venmo requested me. That's crazy."
Man, that's tough scenes. He should give everybody $1 though, for real.
Hey,
yeah, I think you should. I mean, you threw 4 picks, bro, in a game that you lost by 1 score. I don't know.
Well, the fact that it happens to be at Auburn too, that because Auburn's kind of known for having fans that are a little unreasonable, I think, at times. So, but still, the creativity.
I mean, they burnt really that tree, bro. They killed that tree.
Yeah. Well, that was of course Harvey Updike of Alabama.
Was it the opposite? Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, Auburn fans.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it.
Yeah, I have man, I could spend a whole day talking about that whole thing, but I'm not going to, not on this platform, because then I'd get in trouble. But you can't find it funny, but part of it was kind of funny, I'll say. Either way, we'll get to some of your chats, folks. We'll also have buy or sell here in just a little bit. But I want to remind everybody that we're brought to you by Alumni Hall there in Fayetteville. It's your ultimate Razorback shopping experience for those of you who are wanting to have the greatest and best Razorback apparel. Maybe you're coming into the game this weekend into Fayetteville. Well, you need something nice. You need something new. You need something that's going to look the part. Because, hey, if the team on the field doesn't always look so great, you can at least look great in the stands with the great apparel at Alumni Hall. They have polo shirts, they have jerseys, they have shirts, T-shirts. They even have everything for the not only men, but women, kids, pets, and decorations to have all across your home, as well as the high-end, high-caliber type of materials. We're talking about Peter Millar, Johnnie-O, Southern Tide, Columbia, all that great stuff. So check them out today. You can shop them online at alumnihall.com. You can see all the apparel that they have and have it delivered straight to your door. Or you can go by their location, conveniently located right there at 3417 North College Avenue. It's Alumni Hall, your ultimate Razorback shopping destination. All right, let's get into some of these chats and comments, which are lively. Which shout out to I like this because at first I was like, okay, how do you play this here? But Josh Miller sponsored comment, but didn't have a comment. But he gave a comment later, so we're going to count that as his sponsored comment.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We appreciate your sponsored comment later, Josh, and appreciate you watching. He says, WPS from Nashville, longtime listener here. First time chatter. You forgot that part in it. You gotta say that first time chatter. But he says, I was wondering what you think the best chance is at an upset falls on the schedule between Tennessee, Texas, and Ole Miss.
Probably Ole Miss, right?
I would have, yeah.
So.
Earlier, I would have said Tennessee until they started playing football. And it's crazy because Ole Miss is, just beating the absolute hell out of everyone right now. But Texas looks like a freaking buzzsaw. Tennessee looks way better than I thought. They look like a straight up playoff contender, and I did not think that was going to be the case. I can't say that Ole Miss doesn't look like those things, but given the history of the series between Pittman and Kiffin there, and just Arkansas and Ole Miss in general, and they just haven't really been tested at all, that's probably where I would go right now too.
And also, isn't that coming off a bye week? Like, isn't there a bye week in between Texas and Ole Miss? Did I make that up?
There's a bye week before LSU and before Texas is the bye week.
So it's right after Ole Miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I might change my answer to Texas then, low key. Pittman off a bye week is a dangerous monster.
Texas is a dangerous monster.
Hey, Texas is the hardest team of those three. I would agree. I still will probably go Ole Miss just because, Lane Kiffin likes to choke against Arkansas for whatever reason.
See, and that's I go Ole Miss for the same exact reasons. If it had been differently in the series, which I know, hey, it's a new year, new team, different teams, all that. But there's been these teams have played each other 4 times between Kiffin and Pittman, and Arkansas has either blown out Ole Miss or they gave them all that they wanted and had chances to win. Like it's always been weird. So yeah, I'd go with that one, even though I think Razorback fans would take any of those games as an upset. No matter
I do think Ole Miss is the best Ole Miss team. Now they've been good under Kiffin the last 3 or 4 years, but I do think this is the best team he's had there at Ole Miss.
Have we done a Pooh Paul stat check? We know how he's doing.
He did well in week 1. I didn't check. Let's see what PFF has to say about him.
Pooh Paul stat check, our official sponsored segment we can do is like, here's your official Pooh Paul stat check.
Let's do that every Tuesday since we ain't got nothing going on Tuesday. Let's just Tuesday we're checking Pooh Paul's stats.
He had
14 tackles, 4 for loss, and a half sack, and a pass breakup through 2 games. So he's on a pretty good pace.
He's doing a good job. Yeah, 6 stops last week.
Sounds like a second-team All-SEC linebacker is what that sounds like.
That's right.
Well, also shout out they're playing Ole Miss. That is playing Wake Forest on the road this weekend. That game is on the CW.
Oh, good.
That is crazy.
Hell yeah. I like that.
I'm like, it's so funny because I'm looking at ESPN and because you could tell they're not used to putting out the CW and the thing, like the graphic of it is like shifted to the side because it just says the CW network. And I'm like, isn't that where they like played like, the old, like, police chase videos and like, it's like the old Spike TV or something like that. Like
that's One Tree Hill days back there.
It is One Tree Hill days.
Like, what in the world? Okay. So, yeah, if you want to watch that epic game between Ole Miss and Wake Forest, just turn it over to the CW and you'll be able to check it out. Let's see. Also, where was it? Jeff wanted to say, he's like, the big question is why Landon Jackson has been so quiet during the games. We kind of talked about that a lot yesterday, and Pittman kind of addressed that too. Just has been.
He's played 150 snaps, probably has worn him down for the second half. But yeah, I think teams are very conscious of him. With UAPB, like he didn't play after the first half. I wasn't really too worried about it. I know he got in the backfield and missed the tackle here, but it was a little bit annoying that Oklahoma State was able to successfully scheme him out of the game. Like, I think that's a little bit, you shouldn't allow that to happen. If you have one really good lineman, you should find a way to get him loose.
Yeah, I don't need anything crazy from him this weekend, but I want at least 1 sack, damn it. Come on.
Yeah, 1 sack.
At least one. Yeah, let's just see it, get up, flex on somebody. We'll take it from there.
Yeah. I'm going to actually bring that up in a buy or sell later too, so we can discuss it a little bit more in there as well. Unbiased Brim, shout out to him. He said best offensive mind in college football, Steve Spurrier. That's actually a great one
not
too.
A bad one.
Yeah. So when we were talking
about
one
of the best offensive players in college football history, Steve Spurrier.
That's right. And I feel like but that was the thing about Spurrier is like he really never had any quarterbacks that translated into the NFL, I guess. I mean, you had Rex Grossman and Doug Johnson. Yeah, I guess Danny Warfel. Yeah, it's like,
he stunk in the NFL.
Yeah. So, but it's just funny how that ends up. Hog does not want us to do a simulation this week because it was way too wildly accurate last week.
Well, that's too damn bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what if they blow out UAB on the video game?
Hey,
I'm looking forward to it.
I was about to say, if the game played out the way, that's not our fault. Like, that's just, like, we just told you what was going to happen before. It's like, it's not Curtis's fault if Arkansas goes 5-7. He told you what was going to happen.
It's true. That's a good point. Because that's the thing is, like, wouldn't you rather us like tell you like what's going to happen, and that way you can prepare yourselves for what's going to happen instead? I feel like that would be the better route to go. But no, we're doing a simulation. It's going to happen Thursday night at 8 p.m.
Now, if they do lose to UAB on that simulation, it's going to be. There's something going on. Like, it's fishy. We might reevaluate at that point.
Yeah. We may break open like some conspiracy that's going on where it's like they're letting in the EA Sports college football people know what's going on and how it's going to go down. Might be the greatest thing. And hey, for all your bettors out there, it might be helpful for you too. If you're trying to think about what the bet on the spreads and the lines and all that, might be worth checking into. Okay, I'm going to ask about this one because I know you highlighted it, Curtis. Curtis the GOAT, I'm here. Kale the Whale?
Yeah, Kel the Whale. That's my guy.
Okay.
Kel the Whale's buddy. He told me that he was going to be on being able to check out the show on Tuesday and Thursday, and then he was going to give a shout. And I told him I like the name Kel the Whale, so we're gonna talk about it. Yeah,
all right.
So, good people.
Yeah, it's like
not actually a whale, actually a person.
Is he a big guy?
You know.
It's not whale size.
Wow, poor Kale. He's like, hey, I'm gonna check out the show today, and now he's getting fat shamed. Jeez, man,
getting roasted there. Hey,
well, shout out the rhyme, gentlemen.
Well, shout out to just JT Hazelwood was there with us last night at Leroy.
Yeah,
which I'm hoping this is the same one that we're referring to. It is. But he was talking about with Taylen Green being the NFL. He says Anthony Richardson was highly regarded coming out of Florida from intangibles alone, was wildly inaccurate at Florida. Under the right coordinator, somebody would find value in him.
Exactly. And I saw somebody say, they were like, well, I mean, Trey Lance is a bad example. I'm like, Trey Lance was drafted top 5 overall. And obviously he sucks. That's not the point. But like, that's our point, is that like being a bad quarterback in college or the NFL has not stopped NFL teams from drafting these guys very high. I mean, these dudes get drafted. Bo Nix got drafted in the first round, and he like actually is just not good at football. So I mean, dude, to tell me that Taylen Green can't play in the NFL or won't get drafted, that you're gonna have to do a lot better to sell me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the thing. If someone brings up, it's like I think we were even talking about like the Browns and how many bad quarterbacks they've drafted and all of that. And everyone's like, yeah, it's just because those franchise draft those crappy quarterbacks. I'm like, you know why they keep drafting crappy quarterbacks? Because they never have a franchise quarterback because they're never any good. So they have to keep drafting crappy quarterbacks until they're like, hey, we'll find a diamond in the rough. So that's
newer is always better. That's how fans feel. I mean, there's like half the chat right now wants Malachi Singleton to start simply because they haven't seen him play football. And so they're like, he's probably better than Taylen Green. Let's throw him out there. NFL teams, same thing happens where they see Taylen Green throw that dime to Tyrone Broden that got drafted. They're like, man, I hate my quarterback. I'd rather have this guy. It's just going to always work that way.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's just so funny. The new excitement, new energy. And then if he comes in there and he doesn't do well, then everyone's just like, where do they go from there? Like, what if that happened? What if Sam Pittman was like, all right, chat, half of you, I'm starting Malachi Singleton, and then he's not any good. Like, what do people do then?
You can't go back. That's the thing.
KJ Jackson. He's next. Get him in there.
Get Blake Boda or in the right offense.
Yeah. Just work with those guys in there.
I used to have folks on the message boards back in the day. They used to argue with me about Riker Acebo.
Oh my God!
He used to be like, "I'm telling you, man, I know ball, and that guy's spinning it."
Yeah. Well, I still just keep having PTSD from anybody that ever said like I remember when Ben Hicks. Like when came to quarterback at Arkansas, I had a buddy of mine who was actually at SMU during that time. And I texted him, I was like, because people were kind of excited. They're like, oh man, there's a connection there. He knows the offense for Chad Morris and this. And my buddy texted me, he's like, you want no part of Pick Six Hicks. And from then on, I was like, man, some people know. Sometimes you just need to go to the fans and see. Like a lot of times they know more than what the experts will do when it comes to if you're in a quarterback.
Although all Boise State fans really hated Taylen Green. Or that one podcast host did.
Yeah, I remember that. He just jumped in the comments of like everything we'd put out for 2 weeks. And it's like, Taylen Green? No, sir.
You'll see.
Yeah.
We're seeing all right. He's damn good.
Yeah. Because again, like using the example of during the Chad Morris years, all the quarterbacks that left Arkansas under Chad Morris went on to be better. So sometimes that does happen in college football too. sometimes that does happen.
Yep.
Let's also got a few new things. Okay, I was about to say, did we lose Andrew for a little bit? Yeah,
he was stuck in smile land there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good freeze frame.
Yeah, we should have just like screenshotted that and then just left it there as his picture, even if he was able to talk, and just sitting there smiling. Wow,
awesome.
We got you back though, Andrew. Right, you're good with us now.
No, I was just being still, but I was just so happy.
Oh man. All right. We'll continue to get your chats here in a little bit, but I do want to jump into your Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Give my boy Clayton a call over there. He'll get you set up with all of your insurance needs. And a couple of ones that I want to bring up. One's more silly, but one's actually more, actual update. But we kind of talked about this yesterday. We were sitting at the Leroy. Like, this graphic for the Auburn game is incredible that Arkansas put out. Like, it's talking about the game times and everything. And, with the ESPN, they have these new windows and whatnot. And the Auburn game was, I thought originally it was set for a night game, but it looked like it was the flex of a 2:30 or a 6 o'clock game or whatever. Well, anyways, now we have the graphic to where it says it's either going to be at 2:30 in the afternoon or 3:15 in the afternoon. And it's either going to be on ABC or ESPN or ESPN2 or SEC Network. Gentlemen, what is the point of this graphic?
I wonder if it was even worth putting out or making an announcement. I mean,
it's like, I made the joke of like, I thought the oars on the depth chart was bad, but like, this is ridiculous. Like, what? Like, somebody tweeted at him, like, how I don't know any. This did not teach me anything. Like, I did not learn anything from this graphic.
No, man, this does look like that second cornerback spot on the depth chart for sure. Or.
They should have honestly just said, like, put out a tweet that said, "You're not playing at 11 a.m. and you're not playing at night," and just left it at that.
Yep, it would have been
there. Yeah.
Yep, might as well. And you're playing on the Disney affiliated one of the Disney affiliated networks, and then you would have all had it transpired. So those of you making the plans out there, you have to adjust between that 45-minute difference of the game time.
That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah. Like, it's like somebody's going to be like, oh, no, man, I was going to go if it was at 2:30, but since it's at 3:15, I'm not going to be able to make the trip. But yeah, that was funny. But either way, also, since the first week of the NFL season pretty much is concluded, a little pro hog, hashtag pro hog update. A few guys that got in. I'll admit, I always like reading these on ArkansasRazorbacks.com because some of them I'm like, I forgot that they play and actually play significant. Like Yelda Froholt, completely forgot that he's a starter for the Arizona Cardinals. He played in all 61 snaps of that game. So had him. Of course, our guy Jake Bates goes 2 for 2 for the Detroit Lions on field goals. So great to see that. Frank Ragnow started for Detroit. We knew that. Dan Skipper did not play. Still with Detroit. Another guy that I forgot.
Play. They got that wrong. I watched the game. Dan Skipper played.
Oh, he did?
So tell Oliver, send an email to Oliver and tell him to fix that. He definitely played.
Yeah. Be like, dude, come on. What are you doing right now, Oliver?
Specific packages. They'd bring him in 3rd and 1, but he played.
I thought you were going to say just like field goal block because I remember for a while there. That's what
we were talking about that the other day. It'd be nice if Arkansas had a 6'10" lineman they could throw in on field goal block. Maybe would have won in the game.
Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking about this. If it wasn't for Lawson Blake being hurt, he should just go over to the football team and be like, hey, man, just get in there and just block field goals. That's all we want you to do. Just go up there and block field goals.
I like it.
Yeah. But like Buster Brown, Monteric Brown, Jacksonville. He didn't start, but he played 19 snaps in that game too. Cam Little, of course, hit 1 field goal for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Good to see that. Cameron Curl also started for the Rams. So good to see that. He had 5 tackles in the loss the other night. Bo Limmer, which we already talked about that and how cool that was. And him getting in there where he didn't start, but he did play 41 snaps after an injury. Hunter Henry, I don't forget about him, but sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, he's with the Patriots. I keep forgetting he's with the Patriots now. But he did start 26 snaps. He had 2 receptions for 18 yards. Not exactly blowing it up there. Dietrich Wise had 23 snaps, 2 quarterback hurries, official stat. And Traylon Burks, 2 targets, 1 reception, 2 receiving yards, 2 carries with 1 rushing yard and lost to the Bills.
Womp, womp, womp.
Did y'all happen to see Cam Curl was the victim of this? Jamison Williams, the receiver for the Lions, after they scored that final touchdown, Cam Curl and him were kind of jawing back and forth, and the game's over at this point. And Jamison Williams just sits there and does this in his face for like 2 minutes.
Golly. No, I did not see that.
I saw one of those like fake football accounts was like, wow, this is so cool to do against the guy that was guarding him all game. And it's like, Cam Curl was not guarding Jamison Williams. It's not how football works. But Jamison Williams did have a great game.
Did you guys know that Felipe Franks is still on the team?
He was a gunner on special teams for the who was it?
Panthers.
The Panthers. Yeah, he's a gunner on their special team. He's Tyrone Broden in the NFL.
That's wild. He played quarterback to tight end, and now he's playing gunner on special teams. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, that's what keeps you that will keep you making money in the NFL. If you will commit to the special teams. I hate to say it, guys. Treylon Burks is going to have to embrace that if he wants to stick around in the NFL. He better hop on special teams and start cracking heads.
Yeah. No doubt about that.
Also, Jeremiah Ledbetter still plays. He didn't play, but
that is crazy.
Yeah, he's on the Jaguars. So there you have it. There's your Pro Hog update. Also, Pooh Bear DePlugs. Are we getting an injury report this week or nah?
Well, there's one on our website, but the official like NCC mandated things don't start until next week. It's for conference games only, I think.
We'll probably get tomorrow morning. We might get a little like little tidbits from Pittman on the media or the SEC teleconference. But next week is our first week of official injury reports.
And I'm kind of interested to see because I would need to look at it again to see exactly what that's going to look like. But I think you get one or two like during the week and then one an hour before kickoff. And that one could be really telling because like yesterday when we were down at the Leroy and then all of a sudden it's breaking news, Christian McCaffrey out. And we're like, oh, damn. And so,
did y'all see that running back, by the way? The one who started for him, I forgot his name. He said in his postgame that he got told on Friday that he was starting. And so now the 49ers are possibly going to end up getting fined for not disclosing that information. And then he like went to another press conference and they asked him like a clarification. And he's like, this is why I don't like talking to the media because you say one thing wrong and all this. I felt bad for him, but tough one.
Who's going to be the SEC coach that's kind of a jerk about it and just list the entire roster as questionable? Or
Brian
something?
Kelly. Brian Kelly, 100%. Like I just feel like he's the one that's going to do that.
Yeah. By the way, Pooh Bear to Plug. I bet Pooh Bear to Plug is pissed that we're talking about Taylen Green being an NFL quarterback. Y'all remember that day that he caused all that controversy because he was
that
like
was a wild day in the chat.
Yeah, I felt like there were two shows going on: our show and then the show that was in the chat. Like everyone just stopped listening to it.
When you have like fans in there just going back and forth, and like we kind of like lose it in the comment section. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you go to like a football game and the game's going on the field, but then you got these two drunk guys just yelling at each other in the stands and not even paying attention to the game. So it reminded me.
Brady, I think that Marquise Robinson will be good to go unless he's got a Devin Manuel level stinger.
Devin Manuel level stinger. What? So since you brought it up, can we talk about what the definition of a stinger is? Like, is it just?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Literally,
I have no idea.
It's almost like, what's the easiest way to put this? It's almost like just getting hit directly on a nerve, kind of. And so you just go numb for a while. Like there's not structural damage or anything like that. That's why it usually goes away pretty quickly. But if you get hit just right, and it's got to be in a very certain point on the shoulder for that to happen. But it can linger for a while, or it can be something where you're like predisposed to it, just like continuing to get like re-aggravated or whatever, which is probably what was happening with Manuel last year. But it's always scary. Like if you're an athletic trainer or whatever covering a football game, and then you see a player laying down the ground, they're freaking out and they're saying, I can't feel my hand or whatever, or they come like shoulder down, running to the sideline. You're like, oh damn, did they dislocate or something? What's going on? But usually it just comes back to them pretty quick.
Yeah. And it's always, again, I know coaches are going to say what they want to say, but to me, anytime I've ever heard a coach say he's got a stinger, just kind of as a generic thing of like, I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's just he's kind of hurt, but he'll be okay type of thing. Just don't worry. It's almost like hey, don't worry about it. It just hurts, but he's going to be fine.
I'm glad that Curtis was able to give us an actual definition because that's about what I had in my head, but I wouldn't have been able to articulate it. But I was the same with you, John, where I'm like, not really that big of a deal, but it just hurts.
Yeah. And it sounds good. It sounds good. It stings. It's a stinger. Sounds good. Listen, Pooh Bear to Plug coming. He's like, that Taylen Green laser to Tesla was 11 out of 10. Made me a fan right there.
There we go.
So
there we go.
the beef is over. Hey, you no longer have
The
issues with it.
Tyrone Broden one would have really made everyone fans if that one had gotten caught, which I've looked back at live. I really did think it was okay to not catch it. But the more I watched that play back, I'm like, damn, I should have caught that. And the pick six wouldn't have happened.
No. And that's also like just the throw on the run and hitting it right there. Because I honestly thought it was about to get picked. But yeah, he put some gusto behind it, and it was a great throw too. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little buy or sell. Because that's what we do here on a Tuesday. So all right. Some of these we kind of addressed a little bit, but we'll kind of get a little bit more in fun to it and everything. So buy or sell, Arkansas is going to beat either Auburn, A&M, or LSU.
Bye.
Okay.
I'm going to buy because they have to. They have to win one of those games. Like, let's just be honest.
Okay. So I figured you guys would say that. So now comes which one you taking as the one you buy the most?
Probably either A&M or I picked them to beat both A&M and LSU in our season predictions. So I would go with one of those based on what we've seen so far. Maybe LSU. Yeah,
In the
sure.
home game.
After a bye? That's after a bye, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go with LSU then.
I think I'm going to go A&M first and then LSU, but I think they beat both of them. But I would rank them in A&M, LSU, Auburn in that order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm also put it that way too, because you have a road game, a neutral site game, and then a home game between those. But with me, man, this is tough. I think I'd actually go with A&M first, just to be honest. I think this is the year.
Yeah.
I think this is the year. Surely it will be. But
are doubting the highest graded quarterback in the country from last week,
Yeah. Well, also, if you do the transitive property, A&M loses to Notre Dame, who loses to Northern Illinois. And so it's like A&M really, I'll be interested to see what they look like in their next game against an actual breathing opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Kelly said that he thought the sloppiness against Nicholls State was because they were worn out from playing a Monday game. So give them a full week of rest. They'll be fine,
That's why you couldn't run the ball. You know how we talked about the Western Carolina game a lot last year, and we were like, oh, if we overlooked the fact that Arkansas couldn't run the ball against them. LSU is overlooking the fact that they can't run the ball against Nicholls State.
Oh,
that's never a good sign.
That man went from pounding the table awkwardly in disgust to making excuses about having a day less rest. Yeah,
dude,
they hate Brian Kelly down there, man. I'm just telling you, they do not like him.
Listen, I don't care if you played a game the day before. You're LSU. You should be able to run the ball with ease against a team like Nicholls. Does not matter.
John, do you still happen to have that list that was preseason and had the first coach fired odds? Because I know Sam Pittman was second on that list, and I want to say who was one. Was
Napier.
it Beamer?
Napier.
Oh, yeah, Napier. That's right. Brian Kelly, I think, is going to end up cashing that one out of nowhere. I think he's going to get fired midseason.
Really?
And I think Arkansas is going to be the team that does it.
Wouldn't that be something? Everybody was thinking that Arkansas would be the one changing coaches before the LSU game, and it could be.
Turns out Arkansas is getting their coach extended.
Yeah, it's like, they're going to do the opposite effect. But yeah, Napier was definitely the one. All right, buy or sell. Where was it? Oh, yeah, buy or sell. Arkansas winning 2 one-possession games this season.
I'm selling that. Only if they lose 4 more. Like it's 6 and 15. Like it's almost a 3-to-1 ratio at this point. I'll give them 1 because I don't think it's going to be a deal where every single one of these it happens. But I think they're going to play multiple of them moving forward. I cannot buy that. I want to. I just cannot do it.
I'm trying to think of because I think also, I'm talking about this LSU game. I think they're going to beat them by more than 1 touchdown, frankly. A&M, it better not be a 1-possession game because if it is, I don't think Arkansas is going to win it. I'll just be honest with you.
I think they're going to lose a 1-possession game at Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn's probably going to be a 1-possession. So it's like, I think they're going to get 2 simply because they're going to have so many chances. Like I think Mississippi State has a chance to be 1-possession, A&M, Auburn, LSU potentially. But I don't know. I'm changing my answer to sell because I think they're going to beat a couple of those teams. Like I think the ones they win, they're going to win by more than 1 possession.
Okay. Because
Louisiana Tech's not going to be a 1-possession game either. Missouri 1 possession. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that was the reason why I put 2 because technically by rule is that they've won 1 every year. Even last year they won 1 1-possession game. So I'm actually going to buy it. I think that they win one that, of course, they're going to win one because of the odds. Like, it's going to happen. But I think one of these games, and it's not going to be because they made the plays. It's going to be because they were up so much and the other team ran out of time and they made it within a touchdown or something. And then Arkansas still wins. They just hold on to the very end. So I'll give them a bye there, but not for the
averages, dude. Like you got to mess around and win a couple 1-score games.
Yeah. Y'all are saying that shit, but
no, I mean,
you paid attention at all the last.
No,
but I also am a big like. Again, it's not like I'm saying, "Hey, Arkansas is going to rise to the occasion and be clutch in a 1-score game." But I think there's ways to win a 1-score game despite kind of pooping down your leg. And I think Arkansas can do. They almost did it. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy. Is like Arkansas technically almost won that game by 1 score despite having a collapse. So it's like I think there's paths to winning 1-score games without being clutch.
But I will say this to your point, Curtis: if Arkansas loses a 1-possession game to Auburn, they're not going to win 2. Like, that's going to be the start of the.
I'm so afraid that's going to happen.
I know it is.
It's staring us in the face, dude.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that post game for the part of that nature. It's going to be great.
Also, shout out to Brady says Auburn better not be close. They lost to Cal. Well, Arkansas also lost a game last weekend. And I think Cal's probably not as good as Oklahoma State, but like, you can't throw stones from a glass house, buddy.
Worse Auburn teams have beat the hell out of Arkansas recently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also,
you could almost argue them losing to Cal is why they won't lose to Arkansas, because it's like, if they had gone into that game 3-0, feeling themselves against the 2-1 Arkansas
won't
team,
be the quarterback.
Yeah, although Hugh Freeze says he's sticking with them.
Oh my gosh! No, it doesn't matter. If they put in a new quarterback, it won't matter because that guy will look like a Heisman, and then that's what's going to happen. Or if they stick with Peyton Thorne, it's going to be his redemption game. That's how it's going to happen.
Where'd Robbie Ashford wind up? He's in the SEC, right? Somewhere.
Yeah. Was it
South Carolina?
No, I thought Kentucky, it was Kentucky. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's Kentucky.
No, he plays at South Carolina.
South Carolina. He's their backup, isn't he?
Yeah. Because I was going to bring up that point too when people were like, "Oh, South Carolina barely beat Old Dominion, shouldn't have," and then they blitzkrieg Kentucky on the road. So, like, none of it makes sense. All right, spoke about this a little bit. Buy or sell? Landon Jackson have a multi-sack game this year.
I'll buy that, and I think it might be this week. I mean, he's had a few multi-sack games in his career. He seems to get them in bunches. I think it's another like law of averages thing where it's like, yeah, he might have 5 games where he doesn't have any sacks, but he'll probably have 2 or 3 against somebody.
I'm selling it. I don't think he does. I think
he
has sacks.
On pace for a whopping goose egg in the sack department. So
yeah, but I just think that he's going to be constantly targeted. I think that the type of offense they're going to be playing against. I hope he has a multi-sack game, but I don't know. Just if you weren't able to get one here in the first 2 games, and I don't even know if he really, and it's not like I broke it down, but I don't even remember a time he was even close to getting like a sack, or anything. But that's why he got 10 games left. Maybe he can make it happen. Maybe he can get on top of it. Buy or sell Sam Pittman ever giving a timeline on Kudus' injury?
I'm selling that. I'm selling that hard.
I'm selling it. And also, I'm not saying that Patrick Kudus is going to be out for the year, but when he does return, it'll come out of complete nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is why I cautioned everybody. I was like, don't ask about it because we're never going to get an answer. It's just going to be like week 9. He'll be like, oh, yeah, by the way, Kudus is starting. Like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not giving a timeline.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's 100. Well, we're excited to play a fine Mississippi State team, get Coot back. And we're just like, oh, cool.
He's got to put the injury report out, though. So, I don't
if that counts as a timeline, then yeah, he's technically legally binding having to do that.
No. I'm counting the timeline as he won't. Yeah, I'm counting the timeline as him coming out and saying that 1, he's either going to be ready this week, or 2, we feel confident that during the bye week he'll be ready to go against LSU or something like that. But no, just putting it out as him being having a leg and that he's doubtful is not going to do it. All right, so this one's kind of a non-Arkansas related one, but I think this is a good one. Buy or sell that Georgia and Texas are the only 2 teams in college football that will win the title this year.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Rephrase that question for me. They're the only teams that will win the title?
Yeah, as in like those are the only 2 teams. It's either going to be those 2 teams or the field.
Okay.
I should have worded it that way, maybe.
Gotcha.
But,
No, I get what you're
yeah.
saying now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. So you got like Tennessee, Ole Miss, Oregon,
Ohio
like
State.
Ohio State. Yeah, they were at one point. They might have been the favorite to win it, or like we're up there. I think I'm good to take the field. Georgia's quarterback is underwhelming. I'll just say that. I know he's like going to put up numbers and he's going to get drafted, but they don't trust him in any big game. I think there's a reason he's a 9th-year senior. I think Georgia, if they find themselves in a shootout with Tennessee, I think they're going to be in trouble. I could buy the field here. So I'm selling that Georgia and Texas are the only teams that can win the title.
Yeah. I'm thinking I think I'm buying it, man. I think it's Georgia, Texas. I just don't see anybody else doing it. I don't see anybody else, especially now with the expanded playoff and all that. So, because I still think Georgia would have won it last year, personally. Now I know we'll never see it, but now there's no excuses anymore because now every team that's worthy of being in the playoff is going to be in. I just am hard pressed to think that any other teams. I'm picking Georgia, but even to Texas, because I guess they play each other this regular season. So maybe that'll be the real national championship. But man, I just don't see any other team besides these two teams winning a title. I'll be shocked if anybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll buy that too.
Yeah.
I think I'll buy that too.
Yeah.
Texas looked really, really good, and I think we might be shortchanging what Georgia did to Clemson a little bit, because it's still a really good defense over there, and they just dismantled them. It wasn't even a competitive game.
And then Clemson took out some frustration on Appalachian State, which I know is not like
poor
a big
guys,
deal,
man.
but they were favored by like 19 or something like that, and won like 1,000-0.
It was 56-0 or whatever at halftime, and we were on the drive back from Stillwater, like, they can score 100 on these dudes.
Yeah. They exercise some demons there. Well, and it's funny because with Georgia, it's almost like, and I'm the perpetrator. It's like I don't even talk about them. I don't even care because it's Georgia. They're going to be great. But I looked at their schedule, guys. They go to Kentucky this week, which should be a win, but they go to Alabama the next week. We'll see.
They'll beat them by 2 scores.
They go to Texas for that game, and they go to Ole Miss. So you're talking about their 3 toughest games, and not to mention they still have to play Tennessee. Granted, that game's at home, but you're talking about their 3 toughest games this year on the road in the SEC, plus that Tennessee game. And if they get through this season undefeated and no problems there ain't no shot anyone's going to beat them.
They should just skip the Texas game. They should just be like, hey, let's just not play this one. We'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised to see the SEC gave Georgia such a daunting schedule. Usually they try to protect their big dogs, but I mean, if I was a Georgia fan, I'd be so pissed off, even though I wouldn't be too pissed because it's like you've won 2 out of 3 national championships, but still it's like, man, all your biggest games, you don't even get them at home except for Tennessee. So, but yeah, should be a great one. I'm excited for those games. And when SEC play really gets hot and heavy, nothing against South Carolina, Kentucky. It was a great matchup. But once we actually get into SEC play, it'll be great. So, all right, there's your buy or sell for the week too. And there's a few other things. I guess we'll get to the chat and then we'll bring up the other things. I know people have probably been yelling at us. Let's see. This Michael Kopesky guy, you got to chill, dude. Like you're in the chat, you're losing your mind. You got to relax a little bit there.
I love that. I love how every time Arkansas plays a scrub, there's always the like, well, what if they lose? Which, like, look, I get it that like technically Arkansas loses to all these teams all the time, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. Then they would fire Pittman.
Yeah, like that's the thing. If the answer is that crystal clear, then there's no reason to talk about it. Like, what if they lose?
People think, they think that we're like truly trying to argue like that it wouldn't be bad if they lost to UAB. It's like, yeah, like people were literally asking, but like, what if UAB beats them? It's like, well,
everyone's fired and they are moving on. It's as simple as that. Samuel says, do y'all think Oklahoma State is actually good? Or are they just a decent team? I know Curtis's answer, but not Ellis's or John's.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're fine. Like they're a pretty good team. They'll probably win. We looked at their schedule last week. I can't remember it off the top of my head. They'll probably win 8 or 9 games in the Big 12. I don't think I think they're probably on the same level as, the Auburn, Texas A&M, like whoever the SEC teams that we call the shakiest. I feel like they're in that kind of echelon.
Except there's a difference though, because they might be a better team, but they're significantly less talented than all those teams.
Correct. 100%. That's a great way to put it. I mean, they're less talented than Arkansas. So it's like, yeah. But I mean, they overachieve. That's what Oklahoma State does, like year in, year out. They did it last year. They'll probably do it again this year. But yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, the only games I'm looking at their schedule that, and you'll know a little bit more about them here early, is they play against Utah at home in a couple of weeks, and they have Kansas State on the road after that, and then the rest of it's pretty manageable. So yeah, but I would agree. I think that they're just a team like we talked about leading up to the game. They're a program that wins 8-9 games a year. That's never really going to be a national championship contender, but also never going to be a scrub. They're just a solid team. Unlike some other media members that try to convince everybody that they're still like 100% a college football playoff team. I'm like, relax. Like, let's not go that crazy.
If they make the college football playoff, it would be simply because of that schedule, and they would get absolutely trounced, like 73-3, like what Florida State did against Georgia last year. It would be that lopsided. It would be the most lopsided playoff game of all time, and that's saying a lot because there's been a lot of lopsided playoff games.
A lot of them. Too many, actually. Too many has been a problem.
Yeah,
there.
like half of them, I would actually say, have been lopsided. If you go back and look at the playoff, there's been some stinkers.
Yeah. We was talking about the game with Ole Miss and Wake Forest being on the CW, and Slim Pickens goes, CW. Somebody saved me. That show opened from Smallville was in my head.
What's crazy is whenever we were talking about it, I almost said, like, hey, we got any Smallville fans out here? Smallville's a great show. Great show. Is a great theme song, too. That's what I think of that and One Tree Hill.
Is that the one that was like a Superman, right? Like,
yeah, it's like Tom Welling playing Clark Kent in high school.
Yeah,
there's some good football episodes of that where he played football as Superman.
Dude, I just feel
like hide it.
I feel like those the type of shows that like my mom's generation would watch, like that and like Charmed, like the witches and stuff, like all in the same era of just that like middle of the day sitcoms or whatever you want to call them. But yeah,
the CW used to mean something, and now it's getting just the 13th pick of the SEC now. Or whatever.
Yeah, seriously. I want Arkansas to play a game on the CW. We want to make that happen. Make CW like the next Jefferson Pilot. Just like I want to know who's calling that game. Like, who's calling the game on the CW? Like, who? I'm
to tune into some of that. I just want to see what it's like.
Yeah, just for that sake. Like, look what the score bug looks like and everything. Like, yeah, I want to know more about that, and we'll find out. Cody says, "Hey, I love the show. Thank you." Says, if Arkansas were to win a game as an underdog, which game do you think? I say it's Ole Miss. Kind of talked about that, but Ole Miss
probably.
But I have to see what the line is. I mean, if they're underdogs against any A&M or LSU or whoever, I think those are going to be those are legit. Like those are chances to win.
They'll probably still be an underdog against A&M.
We'll see what it looks like then. But I mean, especially
I guess it depends on
They'll definitely be an underdog against Auburn, like no doubt about that.
Right.
Probably only like 3 or 4 points, but they'll be an underdog there. So like, I'd be tempted to go one of those rather than Ole Miss, where they'll be like 20-point underdogs.
Yeah.
Although I mean, obviously they can. There's nothing this Arkansas football team could do that would surprise me, frankly. Good, bad, indifferent. Like, who knows? But I think I might go Auburn just because I know they're going to be an underdog, and I think they can win that game.
Yeah. If it's anything above like a 7-point game in the line, like if it's like a -7.5 for Auburn, I'm smashing it for Arkansas.
Which is how we felt about Oklahoma State. And we were right, frankly.
Yeah, frankly. I like this from Finch. He just says, just feel bad for these guys having to cover for these rabid fans when something doesn't go our way. It's kind of part of the fun. A little bit.
It is.
Yeah.
The misconception, though, is that we don't feel the same way. That like we're over here like, you know what? We love Sam Pittman. We hope he's the coach for 30 years. We don't care if they lose every game. We just want to play hard. Like we're just as frustrated as y'all.
Yeah. I mean, imagine having to go to that game and like watch it and do all that. Like, come on, it's just as frustrating, right? Totally. Hayden comes in and says, I feel like I'm in the minority here, but I'm definitely cautiously optimistic about the season. Usually in these heartbreakers, we were the clear worst team and somehow played close. OSU was the opposite. I mean, I guess whatever it takes to make you feel that way, but I don't know. I feel
emphasis on the cautiously. Because like, look, I get the case for it and all that, but I saw someone ask in the chat earlier and I lost it. I meant to start, but it was like Arkansas. They might beat someone they're not supposed to, but wouldn't it be very Arkansas if they lost to a team they were supposed to beat? I'm like, that just happened. Literally, like week 2. I know they were underdogs, but it's like they were definitely supposed to beat Oklahoma State, and so yeah, It's hard for me to imagine that they're just not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, also too, did everyone forget the BYU game last year where Arkansas was the better team and they did choke it away and did not play well? And then what happened?
Never recovered from it.
Yeah. So that absolutely could happen too. Absolutely could happen too. All right. A few things I want to get into just kind of randomly too, and we'll try to get to some other chats as well. I'm Matt Rule. We were talking about this last night. Matt Rule at Nebraska, man, he's became a media darling, especially what happened with them in Colorado, and then him kind of being at different places and being really good. This is a very short clip. I want y'all's thoughts on his opinion on this matter when it comes to college football games and scheduling.
It's up to me. We play at 9:00 in the morning. Kegs and eggs and football. Let's go.
9:00 in the morning, kegs and eggs for football. Would you guys be in favor?
No. Kegs and eggs is cool, but no.
If I wanted to watch football at 9 a.m., I would move to the West Coast and become a diehard East Coast NFL fan. I really think that sucks. I don't like watching it at 11 a.m., frankly.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine how pissed off. Say if that happened here in Arkansas and they had some sort of big game. They're like, hey, for this special moment, we're going to have the game at 9 a.m. Everyone's going to be like, no, that's stupid. It sounds like, get on the gridiron early. No one wants that. No, people may say it's cool in theory, but no one wants to play at 9 a.m. No. No one wants to play at 11 a.m. When you think, moving it up 2 hours would make people want to get out there. No, not at all. Because when I don't know if you guys feel the same way. When I think of 9 a.m. football games on a Saturday, I think of when I was in Pee Wee football and being so tired waking up on a Saturday morning, having to go play a football game on the baseball outfield where the dew's still on the grass. And it just, nobody was happy to be there. That's what it reminds me of. But kudos to Matt Rule. At least he's trying for kegs and eggs, but I don't know how that would go. Speaking of Colorado, I did want to bring this one up too. This is the fact that the fight song deal that was going on. They're saying that Shedeur Sanders' rap song was the one that was going to get played, as Deion Sanders or Coach Prime had said. Best comment ever, because this is Deion Sanders' response. He says, "This is not true. Nobody ever asked the band to refrain from playing the fight song. After a touchdown, the band plays Glory, Glory, Colorado. And after a point after touchdown, the band plays Fight CU. Has been standard practice for years. But when Shedeur Sanders scores, the band will wait a moment for a small snippet of Shedeur's song to play before immediately kicking into Glory, Glory, Colorado. This is exactly what happened during the game against North Dakota State. This practice is not unique to Shedeur, as the band will wait a moment after a successful field goal to play Alejandro Mata's song before playing Fight CU." So there you go.
This is over, man. This was going to be over by the end of this year anyway. But I think after they lose to Colorado State this weekend, it's just going to accelerate. This is going to become a mess. I really believe that. This is crazy. I don't know. I believe it too.
I mean, you have Shedeur going to the press conference and talking about how his offensive line sucks. I think they're all about to leave, and so I can't imagine Deion sticks around. I just wonder what he's going to do. Someone will hire him. I just wonder who.
Man, has there been? Can you guys think of another time where a coach or somebody got hired that caused a bigger stir and crazy media frenzy that fizzled out and has tanked as quickly as this? I mean, I can't think of any other moments where this has happened.
Greg Schiano, Tennessee.
Yeah, I guess that was slightly quicker.
30 minutes worth of a riot there.
Yeah, and then they ended up with Jeremy Pruitt, which was so much better. Yeah, that was a pretty quick thing. I felt like now I'm trying to remember. It wasn't as big of a deal, but I always think back to when. Oh, who was the coach that was at Notre Dame with Brady Quinn, and then he went over to Kansas, and they paid him a ton of money, and he was there for a year and a half. He's head coach of Notre Dame under Brady Quinn. He's the Patriots guy too.
Oh, Weiss.
Charlie Weiss. Yeah. Remember when they brought him into Kansas as the head coach, and they're so pumped up and excited in that crash. Or you could even make the argument for Les Miles at Kansas.
I was gonna say, Kansas had a run with college football coaches, man. How about that?
Yeah. So, but anyways, I'm with you, Curtis. This thing's over for
man. It's just what a disaster this has become. I don't know.
Well, it's crazy
because I was legit excited about it this time last year. I was like, you know what, this is really cool, man. Good for them. And now it's just, whew.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Colorado was a disaster before. They were going 2-10 back-to-back years. They had nothing going on. And so I'm sure it's you'd rather do this than nothing, I guess. But it has to be bad for this to be worse than going 4-20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because now it's like all the stuff that you brought with the pomp and circumstance. Because that's the thing is like they say the larger the pride, the higher the fall or whatever. That's like people were like, now that you brought all this stuff in and now you're losing, people are clowning on you for it. Like it makes the gas run out that much quicker whenever people are tired of it. And also it just made me wonder, like, I guess, was that going to be a thing that if they were winning and all that, just, hey, any player that scores a touchdown, you got to play their song or like a rap song and then the band plays? Is that a common thing? I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there.
The band's got to be looking out. It's like, wait, which receiver was that got in? The one with the song? Or like, it's like, it's stupid, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, can I share something with everybody? Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. I just wanted to little DJ Wagner to Trevor Brazil alley-oop. That's all.
It reminded me of the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from I guess was it the Hollywood movie or whatever, when it's like, yep. It's like, see that?
Yeah.
Like, yep, saw that again. Good. And alley-oop to Trevor Brazil. Look at that.
Needed that in my day. It's good.
Man. I love those highlights. I want them to, like, I retweet them every time I see them. It just makes me happy. If, like, even though it's just a very like basic play and it's going up against nobody, it's like, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
That's the
Give me more of that.
Yeah. Man.
The only thing that could have been better is if you had like an angle behind Trevor Brazil and he's shooting a corner three and just draining it. And it's like,
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah. Because wait, wasn't it Cal that said that, or was there Brazil? They got told not to shoot threes anymore. Was that what it was? Or am I misrepresenting it completely?
You're not misrepresenting it. No, and that was, I mean, it's not true, but he says he's not letting Brazil and Big Z shoot threes. But his point was that he's limiting that crap in practice because he wants them to improve at everything else. So he doesn't want them to settle for being, 7 feet tall and just chucking threes. So
because you'll get that shot whenever you want.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's all about that attack dog mentality. And the thing he said like a million times was get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so that's what he's doing there. But he did say that. And it was funny because when he said that in the press conference, like it was just a few hours earlier where they had released a clip that showed Trevor Brazil shooting a corner three at practice. We were like, okay.
Dude. Yeah. And then what was it? The article that somebody from Kentucky wrote, is just like, Big Z goes from being allowed to shoot threes and whatnot. Now he can't shoot threes. He's just getting chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because that's what was said. He's like, hey, Cal Perry said, no more shooting threes and you're going to eat these chicken nuggets, these Razorback nuggets.
Yeah. Big Z and Trevor Brazil are both going to hit threes in Rupp against Kentucky. So stay tuned for that.
Boy.
And we'll be there to witness it.
Can't wait.
Yes. That's going to be, man. Like, I'm wondering how we'll be treated, or just like fans of Arkansas will be treated. I wonder if are all of them going to direct their hate just strictly to Cal, or is it because of all the social media angst and energy? Is there going to be even some really upset people when Razorback Red rolls in?
By the time we get there, who knows? Who knows, man?
Yeah, because one team might be completely out of the tournament talk, and the other team could be a top 5 team, and we all know which is more likely between those two scenarios happening. Right. So, that's right. That'd be great. And I love this. Like Timothy comes in, he's like, if Pittman does get let go, are y'all scared like I am that end up losing the entire staff? Not to mention recruits, and who do we get? Here's the thing, Timothy. I was gonna be honest. There's no reason in talking about that right now because he is the head coach. And 2, who cares if you lose the entire staff? Who cares about recruits or anything like that? Coaches get fired every day. That doesn't matter about keeping them. It matters about getting a coach in here that's going to be the best, and he's going to assemble the best staff with the best players.
I wouldn't worry about the recruits at all. They'll just plug the portal and it'll be fine. Like it would suck if you lose a guy like Travis Williams, or or what does that mean for Bobby P and so I get that standpoint of it. The player part, I'm unbothered by it. Now, who would they get? I don't know, because I've already moved Rhett Lashley off the board. Who else did we remove off the board this weekend? Somebody else got bumped off the board, man.
Was it Norvell?
It might have.
No, there was somebody. Who was it?
Maybe he did. Yeah, I don't know, man. But like it's becoming thin, so I don't know.
Well, and also like they've gotten a couple nice recruits here lately, but it's not like Arkansas has been like just dominating on the recruiting trail. Like I mean, like no disrespect, but it's like It's not like, oh, this year they're going to have a top 15 class. It's like, it's not like recruiting has ever been Arkansas' strong suit, even under Pittman.
Yeah. Well, that's like I always laugh about when people say it's like, oh, losing the recruits and everything. I'm like, yeah, but then when coaches get fired and they bring in this massive transfer portal overhaul that's really great, no one's like, oh, but what about the kids? Where are they going to go?
Cal brought his recruiting class. I understand they're not going to be able to hire Cal. Whoever their the next head coach is, has players committed to him. I'd say half of them are going to come.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, players are replaceable as hell these days.
Yes, they are. Like, and that's at what point are people just going to understand that? I don't know if that'll ever happen.
And I'll just be honest with you. There's very much a scenario in which Arkansas has a different head coach and some of the same coaching staff. Maybe a coordinator sticks around. Maybe something else.
Maybe Scott Fountain sticks around like people are wanting. And not having any issues with him whatsoever.
You could still get Scott Fountain. Yeah, you could have Rhett Lashley and Scott Fountain running the show, man. Don't sell yourself short.
That can inspire all the hope. Inspires all the hope. All right, so I know we just got a few minutes here. For me, it's like the Jets suck still, so that was good to see last night on pace for it. So that's great. Players holding out. Like there's a guy that was on the team that would rather not play and get fined $800,000 than play. It's pretty impressive. So got that. But also, guys, I'm a little excited because I'm going to see Creed in concert tonight. I'm just saying, it's going to be awesome.
That'll be fun, man. Nostalgic. Yeah, it'll be good.
Yep. I just hope that it's like them. It's like finger 11 or not. Is it 311? Finger 11? Finger something? I don't know. Something like that. And pause.
Don't know that.
And then they have Chris Daughtry. So
that's a good show right there.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Wait, is it Five Finger Death Punch?
Maybe.
That's a rock band.
It feels like all right.
Is either that or 311? Wasn't 311 a band too?
I don't know about 311. Maybe.
My nostalgia can only go so far. But originally it's supposed to be
Finger 11.
Is it Finger 11?
I don't know. 11. I'm just Heartbroken Hog.
Okay. I'll trust you because I knew it was something with a finger and a number. So there we go. But yeah, we got that. We got Daughtry. It was supposed to be 3 Doors Down, but apparently they had to do something else. So
I gotcha.
Daughtry had some bangers back in the day. American Idol.
Yeah.
I remember when American Idol used to like really produce stars.
Yeah. But he didn't even win. He was like 8th on their thing. So
but that was how big American Idol was. You could finish like 5th and end up selling records.
Well, the crazy thing about it is my favorite season of that ever was the Ruben Studdard. And that just Clay Aiken.
Evan Baker says the Canes walkout song was Finger 11. I know that song. I have it on my play. Is that real? Dude, that song was great.
Okay, I'll see that. Great. Had to look forward to.
I've learned a lot in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, put a lot together there. But yeah, I'm excited about it just because like I'm going with my brother who like he grew up and that was the only reason I knew Creed because he's older than me, but he was like in junior high, huge Creed fan. Human Clay, Weathered, all that. So it'll be fun though, and we'll be able to check it out. And I haven't been to a concert in a very, very, very long time, and especially at the Amp, it's been a long time. So
it'll be fun, man. Enjoy.
Yeah, it'll be great. So, anyways, anything else, fellas?
It's a great venue, man. It really is.
Dude, the type of concerts they've put together there has been pretty great. And
I saw Third Eye Blind there. Third Eye Blind was off the chain.
I think I thought I had to ask my wife. I can't remember if it was Third Eye Blind or 3 Doors Down or both. I don't know.
Both bangers.
Okay, both. That not there, but we've seen them before. So
yeah. Well, it's weird is I've only been to 3 concerts at the Walmart Amp, and for some reason, 2 of them were Darius Rucker. Don't know why. I'm not even a Darius Rucker fan, but it just happened to be where 2 of them were that. So, but should be a lot of fun. But anything else, guys, from y'all before we check out of here for the day?
Nah.
It's not Arkansas Live. Okay.
Well,
we got it all. We covered it all, folks. Appreciate all of you and listening in and watching in to Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. Hit a like there as well. Hit that bell in the top corner so you get notified of every time we go live and every time we post our videos. Also, check out InsideArkansas.com for all the great written content that we're putting up each and every day. And we'll go from there. So for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We will see you.